A lot of my education, a lot of it, is in literature, in reading, in writing, in poetry, in arts of the scripture kind. And so when it comes to artistic creation and music, songwriting, all of that, I guess subconsciously, unconsciously, without even knowing or wanting, I kind of go completely crazy when it comes to the lyrics. I probably spend the most amount of time when it comes to writing a song on the lyrics rather than on anything else. Because in my mind, even if the song has okay or average quality in its artificial aspects and its instrumentation or the melody, I believe that such an okay song can be saved, will be saved, with strong poetry, with strong lyricism, and all that jazz. Now, my original idea was to come to this place, which is super old. This cathedral behind me is I think it's 1,000 years old. The problem is, I forgot that this is tourist season, and there's thousands upon thousands of people nearby, and that is triggering all kinds of anxiety. So maybe I'll, because I want to talk to you about some of the lyrics of the album. I want to read some parts of it for you to give you a better understanding, hopefully, of what it is I'm trying to talk about and what kind of story I'm trying to chronicle. However, I'm having second thoughts about continuing the video right now at this hour, specifically because I think this is the week that they're launching this whole laser show thing, that this whole cathedral is going to be electrified in laser lights, and it's like a touristy thing. So probably I will either come back here way later in the night or super early in the morning, because I think it's a better time. Because even though I don't know how much of the ambient noise you're able to hear, there's a lot of it's making me lose my focus, and I kind of want to talk about lyrics and poetry, which are probably my first passion when it comes to art, and this is just not cutting it. So probably see you maybe in the same exact location, but in a completely different timeline. Well, I'm here now, and it's after midnight, and there's still people sitting around talking, having fun, and I guess probably coming down here over a weekend in July might not have been the best of ideas. I have the lyrics still with me. You know what? What the hell? Let's just dive in and talk a bit about my strategy, how I'm approaching lyrics, and it's really funny because as I was walking here from my place, which is like a 20-minute something like that walk, and right now it's midnight 30, so it's like technically the next day. I was for whatever reason my mind traveled back in time. You know, I grew up in a culture and in a household that I needed to be home before 9 p.m. Whatever happened, I needed to be home before 9 p.m. And on exceptional nights, it would have been like 9:30 or 10 p.m. And most of it wasn't because of my parents wanting to take control. Most of it was because the neighborhood that I was living in, even though it was one of the very, very popular neighborhoods in the city, was not safe. And many a time I heard people getting mugged and having worse problems. So it was really funny. But here now, it's almost like it's 12:30. It's very safe, very lively, very interesting. And whenever I'm introducing this city to people, I always tell them that this place has three faces. It has the usual city, European city that you would imagine. It also has a Christmas face from November to December. There's a big Christmas market full of people, like 1 million people come visit. And finally, the last face that this city has, my favorite, the inspiring face, is the one you would see in specific time, like in specific time slots or days where after 7 or 8 p.m. nobody is in the city, because most people, most students have traveled home, and there's just this absolute quiet, which is kind of like what is happening right now. But it is definitely not as quiet as I remember the first year when I came here at 10 p.m. It was this thick fog. Couldn't see 2 feet in front of me. It was so inspiring. It was very inspiring. You know, thinking about home and thinking about how I had to be home very early on kind of is a nice segue into the first song of the album, technically the second song, because the first song is this introduction, exposition, ambience music that I won't spoil. But I think but by the way, this album that I'm working on, it is not for the people who are doom scrollers or who have short attention spans and who like to have songs like fewer than 3 minutes. This is a long, I want to sit down, close my eyes and listen to some, I guess, long kind of music kind of album. And so technically the second song or the first song, depending on how you want to count, is a song that's called A Dream in Flames, and the album begins with these 8 lines. I grew up with faith. I grew up with hope that tomorrow always comes and there will always be a home. And then there was fear, an absence of light. What if sun goes down? And what if I live forever here in the night? I grew up with hate, false promises and lies, that we are always loved and truly nothing can cause us harm. And then there were you, a dying ember of light. What if I climbed the highest peaks, close my eyes and jump? And then the song opens and things go crazy, but that's a tiny bit of the first song, A Dream in Flames. I want to also read you a tiny bit of the second song of the album, or the third if you want to be super pedantic. The song is called My Story, and as you can guess, it's my story. The lyrics begin with lights, the sounds of an excited crowd. Why am I still doing this? Why do I hope this world will change? We were the gilded, the lost, the found. We were a plaything, they got tired and threw us out. But there was the promise to keep our madness safe. Ironic how this bedlam only kept us sane. The stage was set, our instrument, our piece, counting down from 10. And then we go to the big chorus that begins with, let me fade in time, let me break free. Let these chains turn into dust and spread my ashes across the sea. Something like a wing, something like a heart. Let the shadows tell my story from the start. That's how the first chorus of My Story ends. I really like this song. It's probably one of the catchier songs, and when the band were listening to it, they all recommended that this should be the first single that we put out to, garner attention to the album. All right, I think I'm gonna walk home and maybe talk to you a tiny bit more about the themes that I've tried to talk about and tackle in this album. Sound good? Let's go for a very late night walk home. Now, I don't know which one predates which. My passion for linguistics and therefore trying to be more eloquent and cautious about the diction and the wordage and the vocabulary that I use, or me liking literature and poetry so much that ultimately it ends up I ended up becoming like a linguist and getting super crazy into linguistics. But whatever it is, whichever way I want to look at it, the end result is the same. And that is, when it comes to any kind of written, spoken, any kind of artistic creation, my priority has always been the same, and that is what I consider to be correct language needs to always be used, unless the incorrect usage of language is the point. So for this album, I've spent probably almost double, for a couple of songs even triple, the amount of time that I usually spend writing songs, like writing lyrics and coming up with lyrical ideas and cool little word plays and rhymings and references to literature around the world to make, I guess, my point. Now, as the name of the album and the whole record implies, Fill the World with Teeth, I'm trying to share my side, my perception, my understanding, my opinion, if you want to call it that, on war, on the destruction, on the destructive nature of human greed, on the destructive nature of human extreme ideology, and of course, just this general attraction to disorder, to chaos, to just burning things down. The big picture that I'm trying to do in this album is to tell my story from somebody who felt caged, obliged, pressured, and cornered into being something else, finally finding a way with some small embers of hope that if I am given the chance, if I'm given the trust, if I'm given the opportunity, I think I will be able to make something of myself that I have had dozens of years of training for. And this was a try. Like, this album is the result of me trying to leave my country, immigrate, and move to a different world, to a new world, for roughly 11 years. You see, I finished my bachelor in literature in 2012, and I got admitted into my master program of linguistics and of didactics in 2022. Technically it's 2023 because, anyway, 10-11 years. Now obviously when it comes to telling your story, I think it makes sense that you are a tiny bit reductionist and selective in the things that you would choose to share with the people, and that is exactly my case as well. There are so many things that I'm talking about in this album, like my feelings towards this small hope of immigration, or the story with what happened with the band, how things just got upside down overnight, how I felt exactly the moment that I heard the news that a crazy war has broken out over the skies that I grew up under. And there are so many other songs that I've hopefully tried to capture. I also mentioned this in another video that there's a song on this album called The Promise, and this song is about how I made a promise to myself to never talk about certain things when it comes to music and when it comes to storytelling through this medium, but this album is the exact opposite of that. And so the song Promise is practically about how I broke my own promise to myself. And it was a very, I don't know what word to use, maybe therapeutic, to talk about those things. But I would like to finish this video with a particular song about something that is very important to me, and it's something that I wish we would talk about more. I would talk about more if I was given the chance, and that is a subject of self-harm to the extreme. There are probably 2 or 3 things in this life that everybody goes through, no matter if you're coming from a destitute situation all the way to super affluent, and that is, everybody goes through something. Everybody is going through something. Everybody grows up with and through trauma. Everybody grows up with and through a lot of emotional instabilities, and it's a paradox to say I'm normal, because nobody truly is normal. And when it comes to mental issues, mental instabilities, and the desire to self-harm to the extremes, and I'm being very careful about how I use my language here, there is this unrealistic expectation that you are A, therefore you must behave like everybody in the A category. You are a man, so you need to be strong, you need to soldier on through the pain, and you must not let anybody know that you're feeling uneasy, that you're feeling weak. And you can swap the word man for any other category of people. So there is one song on this album that is very special, and I wish I could say dear, but it's very important to me, and that is the song Invisible Scars, because it talks about thoughts and volitions of self-abuse and self-harm, and how you're just supposed to react and behave and be in a specific way because the world around you expects you to. And I feel like this is that one song that I really I should have written and made it several years ago. I tried to approach this subject a couple of times with songs like Demons or House of Sorrow, but ultimately I kind of deviated towards more global subjects, if it makes any sense. And So when you're listening to the song, if you choose to listen to the song Invisible Scars, know that it is coming from a place of veracity, of reality, of truth, and of personal experience, and of people that the idea that you are not alone, the idea that whatever happens, we are going to go through it, as long as you understand that tomorrow is always around the corner. I heard a sentence recently that stuck with me. I wish I could steal and put it in the album. And the phrase was something within the that even apocalypse has a day after. And that kind of stuck with me. So this album is going to be about uncomfortable subjects like the difficulties and traumas of moving to a different culture after 3 decades of being born wrong, or thoughts of self-abuse and self-harm, or war and conflict, and having this interest in conflict as opposed to have a conflict of interests, among many other subjects that, as you listen to, hopefully you will think a bit more about what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to sing about. And I don't want to sound super pretentious. I really don't want. It's not really my intention here. I just hope that I've been able to share my process when it comes to lyrics writing and choosing words and ideas and themes and thoughts. I hope it made sense. So thank you so much for coming on this super late night walk with me, and I hope wherever you are, whenever you are, you're having an awesome time, and we'll be seeing you in the next one, which probably is going to be in the series of the album vlog, is going to be about the finances and all of the things about the money that's being put into this project and the expectations that are quite unrealistic. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Have an awesome time. Peace.